For most players, getting drafted to the NBA feels like winning the lottery because they suddenly become rich overnight. While there are some players who make smart decisions with the new influx of cash, many of them make really dumb splurges and make it rain. Here are the stories of some current and former NBA stars and what they bought with their first NBA check. Jalen Rose. The younger generations know Jalen Rose as an eloquent, respectful, always smiling analyst on ESPN. But Jalen is from the hood, and he grew up poor in the bling-bling hip-hop era. So right after he wore his famous red suit and shook hands with David Stern at the 1994 NBA Draft, young Mr. Rose was quick to spend his newly acquired funds. He wanted to be fly and flashy, so he started buying clothes and jewelry, among which one piece stood out. It was an 18-karat yellow gold bracelet with 6 links, each containing 63 diamonds. Rose affectionately called it the Mansion, because for the money he spent on the bracelet, he could have bought a big house or a mansion instead. One of Jalen's incredibly dumb purchases was a Virtu, a luxury cell phone with 83 carats of sapphire crystal and a 24/7 private butler service. And the most insane part? He didn't even use it. Rose also lived with 4 to 5 of his homeboys and kept them on the payroll. And one of the guys' job was simply to find out where the parties and the girls were. Of course, it was '94, so it was a bit harder to find such information without social media. Needless to say, Rose spent every dime of his rookie contract. Draymond Green. Draymond Green is a 3-time All-Star, 3-time champion, and the Defensive Player of the Year. But back in 2012, everybody thought of him as just an undersized power forward who couldn't shoot, and that's why he got picked in the second round of the draft. His rookie salary was $850,000 before taxes, meaning that he pocketed just over $400,000 after Uncle Sam took his bite. Don't get me wrong, 400 G's is not some pocket change, but it's also not the kind of money you can be careless with, which Green found out the hard way. After getting drafted, he took his friends out in a nightclub and partied like there's no tomorrow. The tab for the fun night out was $21,000. Which sobered up Draymond real quick, and he said he still remembers everything on that bill. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was born and raised in Australia. Generally speaking, people from down under have a weird relationship with wild animals, and unlike the rest of us folks, they're not afraid of them, and they actually think they would make good pets. Ben Simmons made sure he fit right into the stereotype, because one of the first things he ever bought with his NBA salary was a female Savannah cat, which looks like a slightly smaller cheetah. After he bought the female, Ben decided that she needed company, so he bought a male, which proved to be a big mistake. When the second cat arrived, the pair became unbearable and started behaving like wild animals, which really wasn't too surprising. Simmons paid $10,000 for both animals, but he quickly returned them. Harrison Barnes. Human beings spend 1/3 of their life sleeping, which means that having a quality bed is really important. Harrison Barnes never had a good bed growing up, and he always daydreamed of having a good one for when he was dreaming. When he got drafted, Barnes went to a mattress store and bought the most expensive one they had to enjoy a well-deserved shut-eye. LeBron James. LeBron is one of the smartest NBA players ever, both on and off the court. He's a successful investor and is on the path to becoming a billionaire while still an active player. A part of his wealth comes from the fact that LeBron is very frugal, and some of his friends, like Dwayne Wade, call him the cheapest guy in the NBA. LeBron doesn't buy premium subscriptions to get rid of commercials, and he never uses his phone unless there's Wi-Fi, because God forbid you pay for unlimited data when you're making millions. James famously signed a 7-year, $90 million deal with Nike as an 18-year-old, on top of his NBA contract. And while most of the players on this list went wild, LeBron was very cautious with his money, even as a teenager. He took only $2,000 out of his first $1 million check and took his friends to an amusement park. They probably had to pay for their own cotton candy, too. Shaq. When Shaquille O'Neal was 20, and before he even received his first NBA check, he signed a $1 million endorsement deal with a trading card company. He wasted no time wasting that cheddar.
I bought a black-on-black Benz with some hammers on that thing. When I got home, my father was like, "That's nice, where's mine at?" So then we got in the car and I had to go buy him one too.
Shaq told the story of his first paycheck on TNT's Open Court. The Mercedes was $150,000 each, and after he bought another $100,000 car for his mom, some TVs, stereos, and a whole bunch of stuff he didn't really need. Soon enough, his accountant told him he was broke, and that's when Shaq learned about taxes and that he only earned $500,000 from the endorsement. He then hired a business manager and is now one of the wealthiest NBA players ever, with a broad portfolio of successful investments. Gilbert Arenas. Out of all the stories of stupid spending on this list, this is undoubtedly my favorite. Gilbert Arenas thought he was going to be a lottery pick in the 2001 NBA draft. By sheer talent alone, he was probably the most talented player in the draft that produced 8 All-Stars and several quality starters. However, being an NBA player is not all about talent. During the draft combine, Gilbert behaved terribly. When Arenas was asked what was his main goal in the NBA, he simply answered that he wanted to be a pimp. An NBA league representative gave him another chance to answer the same question, so Arenas decided to clarify his answer further. "I want to be an international pimp." But even that was not enough for him. On the endurance test on the treadmill, he didn't want to damage his new sneakers, so he abruptly stopped. Because of his foolishness, he dropped all the way to the 31st pick, meaning that his first-year salary turned out to be just $330,000 before taxes, instead of $2 million or more. Before he was even drafted, thinking that he would soon be a millionaire, Gil went on a big shopping spree. He took a big loan and bought a $40,000 chain with his initials, a Cadillac Escalade, a $60,000 stereo system, and 5 TVs. On draft night, when he realized that he was not going to earn millions and was actually in debt, Gilbert got so mad that he threw the $40K chain out of the window. Forrest Gump would say that stupid is as stupid does. And as a result, Gilbert had to live on a $400 a month budget through his first 2 NBA seasons. Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's father is Michael Thompson, the first overall pick of the 1978 NBA draft. So it was not like Klay's family struggled financially when he was growing up. Despite growing up in a rich family, Klay turned out to be a modest man, and he was never a lavish spender. The first NBA check he ever received had $35,000 written on it, and it seemed like $1 million for the humble Mr. Thompson. The first thing he bought with that money was a pool table, which he still keeps today. Andre Iguodala. Iggy was the 9th overall pick in the 2004 NBA draft, and his rookie year salary was just under $2 million before taxes. Still, Andre claims that his first check felt like winning the lottery, but that it still wasn't enough to buy a car. Okay, it was probably enough to buy a car, but not the kind of Hot Wheels Iggy had his eyes on. So, he chose to spend on the next best thing he always wanted, and that was sneakers. Iguodala went to the Nike store and bought a lot of Jordans, spending more than $3,000 to be like Mike. Chris Paul. In 2005, Chris Paul was a sophomore at Wake Forest University when he declared for the NBA draft. CP3 then got a $25,000 advance from the agency he chose to represent him, so he went shopping. He took his girlfriend and a couple of his friends to the mall and told everybody to get themselves what they wanted. Even though his net worth is in 9 figures, Paul said he probably never felt richer than that day at the mall. Amar'e Stoudemire. Amar'e was the 9th overall pick in the 2002 NBA draft, and he decided to treat himself and his family. When I got the first paycheck and I saw all those zeros, it was for like $300,000. I thought, man, this is like the Richie Rich movie. He bought himself a truck, an apartment, a bunch of jewelry, and clothes. He took his brother along for the shopping spree and got him what he wanted as well. However, he saved the best for last, and he was finally able to buy his mom a new house that she always wanted. Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics did the same. He promised his mom that he'd buy her a house if he makes it to the NBA and has kept his word. It's probably one of the biggest accomplishments as a young man, is to give your mom what she always wanted and to take care of her, especially after she takes care of you all those years, and to make her happy, Smart said. Dwayne Wade. D-Wade grew up in the era of extra-wide clothes and Pimp My Ride on MTV, and he wanted that for himself. So other than wearing an awful XXL suit like the rest of his draft class, once he got to the NBA, Wade bought himself a car. Not just any car, precisely the one he once saw live and fell in love with. It was an electric blue Cadillac Escalade with the upgraded 26s and, of course, some spinners on them. Maybe that's the original reason why they started calling him Flash and not his speed on the court. A Cadillac Escalade is also what Chris Webber bought with his first NBA paycheck. However, he didn't buy it for himself, but for his dad, who had been working in a Cadillac factory for 30 years but could never afford one. The second pick in the 2019 draft, Ja Morant, did the same thing, but he got cars for both of his parents. His dad got a Dodge Charger SRT, whereas his mom received an Audi L8. The first pick in the 2019 draft, Zion Williamson, bought a customized Jeep Wrangler for his brother. And plenty of other stars bought their dream cars when the first big check rolled in. Trae Young got an Audi R8, Damian Lillard bought a Porsche convertible, while Luka Doncic got a shiny blue Panamera and then a 911 soon after.